I don't believe in waste. I know that may sound a little crazy, weird, and to some extent, a stupid idea, especially if you're living in a city like Lilongwe, where we are having waste all day long. But perhaps what is waste? Well, I define waste as a raw material or a resource which is just placed at the wrong time and in the wrong place. Now, I don't mean that you guys share my sentiments, but for those of you that are a little skeptical, I've got something for you. Nothing is waste until it is wasted. One day in my neighborhood, I took a walk just before dusk. Now, as I crossed on that little bridge, I saw huge piles of solid waste and liquid waste. Now, of course, that was usual. Nothing strange about it. But as I focused my attention and fixed my eyes, what got my juices running was a terrible stench. And as I went a little further, I saw a dead dog. And I could not imagine what sort of life the people that were living around the area were going through. Now, as a human being, I started the blame game. Well, I said maybe government is not doing what it's supposed to do. Well, I thought Lilongwe City Council was not being effective. And again, I thought, well, the people around the area were just unreasonable. But as I kept debating within myself, something struck within me. And it was a little gentle voice by one of the great American presidents, John F. Kennedy, who once said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." That had a huge impact. And I really felt that rather than telling these people to start accusing these people, I could do something. I had a responsibility to do something about it. And so I went back home, excited that I was going to do something, make a difference. And so that plunged me into another exciting phase. And so I did a little research, and the statistics that I got were quite amazing. Now, Malawi, a landlocked country of about 17 million people, of which or something like 65% of that population are young people. And sadly, though, those young people, most of them are just staying at home, simply because they're not employed or they're unemployable. And again, 2 out of every 3 Malawians do not know how to read and write. Now, according to a research done by Dr. Didi Nkwambisi from Bunda College, out of 109 metric tons of solid waste produced per day within the city of Lilongwe alone, 76% is organic waste. Now, that took me back in the days when I was in secondary school and primary school, when I learned that Malawi is a agro-based economy, and therefore, I could not tolerate to see waste, solid waste, that we could turn into something like compost manure, for instance. And so, as I read the statistics, I got myself into a state of confusion. You know, one day I was high up with motivational words from John F. Kennedy that I could do something, and then on the other day, I saw the statistics that I couldn't do something because it was so huge of a problem. Now I needed a stabilizer. And so my stability, the balancing of the statistics as well as the motivation to do something came in a form of a question or a set of questions. Now the first question that I needed to ask myself and get an honest as well as a simple answer was, what is it that I wanted to do? Well, that was pretty obvious. I wanted to combat waste management problem. And so the second question was, how do I want to do what I wanted to do? And so it was not about getting waste from point A to point B, because I understood that the earth we're living in is a closed system, and so therefore nothing escapes out of it. And so I wanted to just change the characteristics of the waste, and so we can produce different products that would add value to people and the environment we're living in. Again, the other question that I needed to ask myself was, why do I want to do it? And that was a very important question, because as we're doing different things, we usually get a lot of problems. So along the way, I knew that maybe through people or something could make me to lose focus. Now, if I had an honest answer to that question, then I was good to go. And so that question gave me purpose. That question gave me direction. And so I knew that I was ready to go and take an extra mile, but just a mere idea would not have done a lot. And so I needed to put that idea into some sort of an institution. So what I did was to create a legal person. And that legal person is called Our World International. And so last year in April 2013, I created that organization with a single purpose of combating the problem of waste management in the city of Lilongwe, and of course, across Malawi and beyond, by recycling, reusing, retrieving, refusing, and reducing waste that we produce in our cities. And so, since our operations started last year, we've been doing a lot of things. But certainly, our capacity is not being capitalized because of a lot of problems like resources. But I want to share with you today about some few things that we've been doing in our organization. The first thing that we do is, through waste, I saw that we could create a lot of business opportunities. And so we have different programs, one of which is a social entrepreneurship program, where we're getting young people, where we're getting women, where we're getting the community to change the way how they view waste. And so we teach them how to make compost manure. And we started with that one simply because I realized that 76% of organic waste produced in the city of Lilongwe alone could be turned and make compost. And besides, these women, after they've made the compost manure, they also sell them, so they increase their spending powers, disposable income. And most of these women, because they're coming from very poor family, and as you can imagine, they do not know how to read and write, and so that is really helping them a lot. And certainly part of the organic waste they're using to grow vegetables, and so they eat, and some they sell. And besides, we're not only focusing on organic waste, but we're also looking at the plastic, which is a huge problem in our nation, and of course the world over. And so what we're doing is we're weaving various materials like mats through the women, and so they're not just staying idle or just disregard the plastics that they see, but they are making different products. And a lot of people are coming to impart knowledge on how they can turn plastics into different materials. And besides, we are also making very good headbands from talking cards. We're making lots of bags that students are no longer going to spend their hard-earned money to buy school bags. They're using some of the bags that they are making from the waste. And so, by the way, those cute bags were not bought from any shop or factory. Actually, those are made by these young boys and girls from primary and secondary schools, and from materials or trashes that we are just throwing or they find on the streets. And some of them, like I said, they're selling them. And so besides, we usually have what we call open day functions. And so they are selling these materials and they're learning various business opportunities at a very tender age. Now probably you may say, from now, where do we go? With this idea, which was spurred by a dead dog, I would like to use it to make the city of Lilongwe have an effective and holistic waste management system that would include each and every person, because we are all responsible. We all produce waste. I would like to use this idea to make sure that our streets are free from waste, that no person just throws waste anyhow, because that should start from within you. Now I know that you would like to be successful. And of course, I would like to be successful too. I know that we would like to live in a country where we have shared opportunities, shared responsibilities, and shared future. But with the current trend, especially towards things as small and useless as waste, I'm afraid probably we could just be moving in circles. On a different slant though, could it be that the social, political, and economic unrest we see in our towns, in our cities, neighborhoods, even in our country at large, could be solved if we paid a little more attention towards waste? Could it be that the natural equilibrium, which oftentimes gets tipped off, could be set balanced if we only empowered our communities to use the waste they are producing? And again, could it be that the physical waste and the sanitation problems we're having in our homes, churches, schools, marketplaces, in our neighborhood, could be solved if we first dealt with mental waste from our minds? Now I'd like to appeal to you that all we need is a paradigm shift towards waste. I am ready to face waste head on. Will you follow? Yes. Thank you.